You'll find the facilities there. In case of an emergency, the stairs are on the right as you exit. Next, beyond the elevators, there's 12 flights of stairs, and you adjourn on the southwestern quadrant of the lawns. So, touching wood, no emergencies. It's quite a walk. So, just like to do a quick acknowledgement. So, we are meeting today on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and we acknowledge the leaders past, present, and emerging. So welcome to the Adelaide Microsoft IT Pro Community Meetup for October. I am Andrew Young, and joining me is Adam Fowler. Quickly about me. So I'm a modern work tech specialist at Dicker Data. I do a bit of posting on LinkedIn, also Microsoft MVP. Feel free to reach out, connect on LinkedIn, etc. And all the show notes, recordings will be published on the blog afterwards.
Yes, I'm Adam Fowler, Principal Solutions Architect at CyberCX with a focus on Microsoft Cloud Solutions. So if you have any Microsoft Cloud requirements, come talk to me. But also run the blog. Used to be an MVP. Maybe again one day we'll see.
Did you get an email yet?
No.
Oh, wait. Well, what, US time.
An email saying, sorry, you're unsuccessful.
See you in 1 hour. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes, but yes.
Awesome.
That's me.
Thanks to our sponsors. So Microsoft for the venue, Stematech for keeping the meetup group floating, Dicker for the swag. So there's an assortment of stuff at the front here. So for
Small co-pilot stuff again.
Yeah.
So aviator sunglasses for a co-pilot.
wooden model planes, cups, bottles, a lot.
Take some, so
please.
Like at home again.
We have new swag waiting. And also kudos to my blog / me for the food and drink and the things. Yeah. All right. So we're going to what's new and what's coming. So in the space of Windows, there's now a new Windows app generally available on all major platforms. You took some funny photos, didn't you? Not yet. So this will give you the opportunity to do any remote desktop, Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop through the one unified app. And you can control it through Intune and all that. So keep an eye out for that if you're managing any of those cloud-related PCs. WSUS, Windows Server Update Services, is finally getting a end of service announcement. I think we've got about a year left. So finally, they're going to stop supporting it officially.
Well, it's announced that there's no new features coming, which hasn't been for a long time. Yeah. And in the current new release of Windows Server 2025, that will still have a 10-year time anyway. So don't get too concerned yet. But
I mean, that's enough. That's enough for most people to be angry about, and it may cause some backflipping. But we'll see. The alternatives are Windows Auto Patch using Microsoft Intune for your devices.
Is Windows Update for Business still a thing?
I think so. That was the other one I was thinking of, but couldn't think of it when I was writing it. So you've got options moving forward. So if and when that does finally disappear completely, System Center Config Manager is probably going to have a bad time if that ever follows suit as well.
Just another cloud connector, I assume.
That one. Sorry, Brett. Windows Server 2025 hot patch. You shared something about this as well.
So sure, let's see what I remember. So yeah, Microsoft have announced that finally there will be the ability to run Windows Update patches without requiring a server reboot. But it does require Azure Arc to be connected to the server. So just because you build up a 2025 server, it's not going to get hot patch without having a subscription to sort of license tied to that device. But the idea is then, Windows updates roll through without server reboots. So if you've got servers that you're really need to avoid rebooting every month, might be worth investigating. So I think it doesn't cost that much per server per month.
Yeah,
$4 or $5.
It's negligible, but depending what you do. So this will go live when Windows Server 2025 becomes available as well, which is soon. This hot patch feature was available in Server 22 in the Azure VM space, but it's a bit different. This one works for on-prem as well, which is a difference. And it also utilizes this virtualization-based security stuff, which we may cover shortly. Yeah, that's a cool thing to have. There's OneDrive support for remote app in Azure Virtual Desktop coming as well. EP. And the new VDI solution for Teams app is now generally available on ABD and Windows 365. A lot of people have been complaining about Teams app performing poorly on remote desktops, so now we've got a much better solution for that.
The whole AVD Windows 365 space seems to be getting a lot of attention the last year or so. Definitely seeing more customers look at it or adopt it, if not just for like a privileged access workstation type environment, just for admins to do special work. Yeah, it's definitely a bigger take up on the service than it used to be.
Along. What's new in Copilot? Won't cover too much because there's a Copilot user group tomorrow, but the naming convention has flipped again. Microsoft has started to use Microsoft 365 Copilot instead of Copilot from Microsoft 365. Semantics. But the Wave 2 updates came out, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. And one of the first things that is hot off the press is this new Copilot pages, which is essentially Microsoft Loop pages. If you see on the right there, it's that live canvas where you can collaborate with other users at the same time on the same thing. And this is through BizChat, which is also a backflip on naming convention. So it was the M365 chat. Now it's back to business chat, but they're calling it BizChat. So this
BizChat makes it sound like it's part of Power Platform.
Yeah, on this app. Yeah. But yeah, if you've got Copilot for M365, you may have seen or experienced using Copilot in the chat interface, but now you'll have this additional space here on the right. So look forward to that as it rolls out. Now,
just out of curiosity, is anyone here actually using Copilot in any way whatsoever?
Yes.
That's all right. Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's not a trick question. I was just curious as to, people going, nah, don't even touch it, or yeah, they'll use it all the time. So, any other ones?
A lot of scripting with Copilot.
Scripting?
Yeah.
As in just using the sort of Copilot.microsoft.com.
Download a PowerShell script in here, just only debugging now.
Nice, there you go.
But we need to polish after that.
Yes. It's your Copilot. It's your Copilot, not the driver.
Yes, and as well as writing something. Sometimes you get false reference. So again, check.
I don't think it's really does.
Nicely lied.
Yeah. You can have a few hallucinations. As
Yeah.
with all large language models.
even real people. Yeah.
Yeah, true, but even real people will do it too. So it's fair point.
Right. And the other big announcement was this Copilot agent thing they're talking about. So it's having a custom Copilot with agent capabilities. So it's kind of like extending the Copilot Studio or Power Virtual Agents in the past, giving it more of a flavor of what it does in terms of its chatbottery. So, for example, if you're like budget management people, HR or finance, and it does specific tasks based on that role you kind of give it. So you're able to create these now even in SharePoint. So it can be based on a library on certain documents. So out of the box, it kind of behaves like a full-fledged chatbot just based on some information you pointed to.
You just point it to a website or two. They use that as your data source.
But I think the Asian part makes it a bit more self-sufficient. So you can go very basic and then get very dev heavy and make something custom. That's outside of my
Copilot is good for that one.
yeah. And also Copilot in Excel is finally generally available. There's a new Copilot in Excel with Python, which is coming out in preview, which is exciting for those who use Python, but also those who use Excel. OneDrive is generally available with the Copilot features now, and it's not that exciting. Recall, for some of you who know what Copilot Plus PCs are, it's kind of got this recall feature which essentially takes snapshots of what you're doing on your device the entire time. And then that's, it's stored locally on your device, and then it's recalled when you're asking Copilot, hey, what did I do at 2 a.m. the other day, or what did I miss, and where have I stored this file? So that's what that does. It does trigger some red flags for security and privacy and all that. So what they've just done over the weekend is announced or dropped the latest updates on this whole security and privacy architecture. So having a Copilot Plus PC, Windows 11, it's enrolled. You've got Windows Hello turned on. It's running what's called a VBS enclave, so the virtualization-based security. So it's kind of, this is the Windows Hello architecture that hard to see, but if you, where's my pointer? There we go. VTL 0, VTL 1. That's the virtual trust level. So 0 is where the user lives generally, and then the 1 is where all the all the high level stuff happens. So you're kind of overlapping what you're doing there, and this is much more secure because, go to the next slide, that's you're hosting bits and pieces of that app across those kernel levels and trust levels. So that way you're not exposing everything to the wild. So in this next image, you can see you've used Windows Hello top there, you've authenticated all the recall data and snapshots. It lives on the device, so you can talk to it there. If you're not, because it relies on your presence, so if you're not there and it can't do the whole facial recognition or whatever, if you're some other attacker out there, you won't be able to get to the storage, and two, the service doesn't, can't even use the service. So that's some rather large jumps from what they started off with by saying, oh, it's on by default. You can turn it off if you want afterwards. And that's more of it's off by default. You can opt in, and there's various things you have to turn on and accept before you can use this service. I think I covered all the bits on that. So this is a painful one for some that haven't already jumped onto it. You've had a couple of months now, so between August 15th to October 15th, you can postpone this from happening, but on the 16th, I guess, you're going to have MFA set up on your admin accounts to access the Azure portal, the Entra and Intune admin centers. And then starting next year, you're going to do it for the rest of those apps there to manage those Azure resources. So for the options, you've got Microsoft Authenticator app, FIDO physical tokens, and there's other options as well. But make sure you've done that if you haven't already. This will also affect your break glass of accounts. So those backup accounts, just in case you break conditional access, this is going to affect those accounts as well. So make sure that you've configured MFA for them.
So it shouldn't affect normal use in normal
The normal user should already have MFA enforced anyway through good best practices. And other thing, Microsoft Entra Internet Access is now generally available. I wasn't aware that it was in preview, but now everything in the Entra suite, I believe, is generally available. This one is the one that talks about securing access to applications and other things within your network, whereas private access is that VPN style connection. We may talk about that next month. We'll see. All right. In terms of security training, there is a bunch of this Ninja training. There's Ninja Cat, but across all of Microsoft security products, so Defender for this or that, and there's a bit of extra training down the bottom. But if you through all this, do the free assessments, get the certificates of participation. You get through all that, and it is this cloud native app protection policies ebook that you can look through. I'll pop the links in the notes afterwards, but heaps to do in the security space for any of you that are working in that space. Microsoft Learn, some new announcements. There's a new Microsoft certification, the Fabric Data Engineer Associate, DP700. Anyone that's doing Fabric, data analytics, that kind of thing. That's got a beta exam coming later this month. Same deal as usual. We probably get the discount code if you want to be part of the first 300 to do a beta exam. Speaking of exams, there is now a new price coming into effect next month onwards. So for us in Australia, it's going to be about $15 US cheaper. So it works out to be, I think it's $260ish at the moment.
The fundamental exams are cheaper again, aren't they?
Probably should have noted that. They're not going from 99 down to 75, I think, US. So yeah, so they'll be down to 75ish, I believe, or 85.
They're all the ones
Whatever the math is.
900 pounds.
Yeah, it's cheaper moving forward. And there's vouchers and stuff through events and your workplaces, so keep an eye out for that. And then some self-paced training. There's the Power Platform Community Conference, Power Platform Copilot Challenge. There's an AI Skills Challenge in the lead up to Microsoft Ignite next month. 30-day plans we talked about last time. So you've got these plans. Instead of doing the 30 days to learn it, you've got these courses set out for you at Microsoft Learn. You don't get anything really for doing it, but besides the completion of the plan itself. And also there's Expert Zone, and for partners with Microsoft, there's a Level Up CSP program as well. So with Modern Work, Copilot, we've got some training there. And there's the AI tour. So there's an in-person one in Sydney in December 11th, but they're doing some live kind of updates on the tech community blog. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I'll talk about this one later as well. But the Microsoft Student Accelerator ANZ online meetup, there's one coming up next month or next week or this Friday. So get to that slide. But on the topic of Microsoft Learn, the Student Ambassadors Program, this is kind of a gateway to get into the Microsoft MVP program. So for any students of, say, university or TAFE, studying IT at the moment, they can actually sign up for this. And if they complete some tasks within the Discord server, you got a chance to become beta student ambassador level. You get a bunch of stuff sent out to you, extra benefits. But if you go above and beyond, you'll get a gold student ambassador award, and then you get a foot in essentially to the MVP program. You get some mentorship from MVPs, and there's other opportunities that come your way. So it's a good head start for your career if you're a student and keen to do that. And of course, there's the Student Accelerator. So these are happening around Perth, Melbourne, New Zealand. I'm going to be skipping us, so I'm trying to organise something for us. I've got a couple of leads, see what we can do. It might not be this calendar year, but yeah, hopefully get something happening in that space. And whip around the local Microsoft communities, so the user groups that we've got. So obviously there's ours, there's Copilot that runs on the first Wednesdays, M365 on the third Tuesdays, the Azure group run by Simon in the corner there.
3 o'clock, 3 p.m. So it's not good time.
Sorry?
Well, most of the program, it is in 3 p.m.
Yeah.
3 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is not a good time, especially for the women.
Okay.
So if it is in 5 p.m., then, or not only women who has a childcare responsibility or pick the children,
Yeah.
cannot make it.
They vary in times. So the first
Some of these
three,
are like middle of the day.
first ones are 3 to 5, but the .NET
The
user
ones
group,
I
the
hear,
analytics,
the ones
analytics is
ones we
during
run here.
lunchtime. Sorry.
The ones we run here, generally we do this time because they now have a hard cutoff at 5 p.m, so we can't do after 5 here. Otherwise, you'd have to find a venue, and it's there's practical things, but take the feedback on, and we'll think of something.
December one we might do at a different time for
the December one, a joint one with the Azure team and the Copilot and M365. We'll try and come up with some.
I'd be surprised if it's at this time because it's going to be a. Anyway, see. But thank you for calling me out.
I mean, at least I'm not making you come here at like 1 a.m. in the morning, as most events are on. So coming up is this Intune Tech Community Live. That's tonight from midnight. But there's recordings on demand afterwards. Mentioned before, the Student Accelerator online meetup. So that's this Friday. So QR code is a form that you fill in to get the Teams link. If you want to attend that. There's a OneDrive digital event on the 9th, also at a nice time. So generally they're pretty exciting because there'll be a major change to OneDrive, but I don't know what they're going to do now since the last major change was already done. So it could just be on Copilot. I could be surprised. Doesn't work. Thanks, whoever runs that.
Deactivated for some time.
Right. Well, in the blog post, I'll drop that in the notes afterwards. There's a Ultra Suite showcase. This was in person, but it's in Sydney. Ignite/Inspire. That's next month. In Chicago, there's developers Adelaide, also next month. I think they're still doing call for speakers, but if you're a developer, make sure you go along. Cool. As I mentioned, the AI Tour Sydney, 11th of December, and Digital Workplace Conference is doing early bird registrations for next March. And for us, we may have Intro Private Access as a topic next month. We'll let you know. But yeah,
Work.
it might. No one
That's wants to do something. There we go. That one works. That's something.
Yeah, no one uses it though. It's probably different.
So look forward to you talking next month.
There's subtle 5 I slapped on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the form's actually updated to run from next year onwards. But yeah, and next month, month after, we'll try and do a joint event with the other user group leads. See what kind of exciting thing happens. But yeah, I'll hand it over to our guest speaker if he's ready.
I see him as an attendee.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not marked as presenter or organizer, so I can't share.
This is where we summon the powers of Pete.
Pete.
You are now.
There you go. He's done it.
Thank you.
Delightful.
So good, mate.
Okay, so now this is what I move that.
Do some magic.
Oh my god. Are you gonna camera on?
I can certainly camera on. It was more of a courtesy if people were remoting in with a not less than average internet connection, it would be beneficial if I wasn't, but I can most certainly camera on if it's not a problem across the board.
I mean, it depends if you want the exposure.
No, it's a dark room. Let me find the light.
It'll be on the recording, Anthony. And for those who have got constrained bandwidth on their own, they can choose to limit bandwidth at their end.
That's true. That's a good point. No, yeah. Look, I'm all here and ready to go. But no, thanks, Adam. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate the airtime, I guess. So yeah, with that, what was that?
We'll let you do your thing. Go ahead.
Appreciate it. Well, good afternoon, everybody. So I just want to appreciate, everybody who's come in today, in person and remote, as it is, halfway through the day for some people, and early afternoon for some as well. My name's Anthony Porter, and I am excited to be here today to present to you guys a topic that I think is fairly crucial for maintaining health and security of your workforce endpoints, and that is Microsoft Intune Remediations. I'll delve into how I've used Intune Remediations to help identify and resolve compliance issues, automate remediation tasks, and maintain a secure environment for end users. And by the end of the session, I hope that you have a clear understanding as to how you can also leverage this underrated Intune feature to enhance your organization, security, posture, and streamline device management. So with that, let's dive into how Microsoft Intune Remediations can transform your environment and device management. Before I do, let me find where my mouse is. There we go. So with that, who am I? So as I said, my name's Anthony Porter. I'm a cloud security architect for Canon Business Services. We used to be referred to as Satellist, but through acquisition, we are now Canon Business Services ANZ. I've worked in IT for the past 15 years, which 5 of that recently has been specifically to the Microsoft cloud space. previously specializing in the Azure and infrastructure components before turning towards the security-focused stack. As you can see, I also run a blog as well where I post content related to endpoint management, Defender, as well as post lessons learned and tips from projects that I've had, as well as tool sets related to Microsoft, which I've been grateful to be able to use. I'm also very active on LinkedIn as well, helping out in endpoint management focus groups, posting and assisting people where I can. And I also have bits and pieces up in GitHub as well. So with that, I'm excited to share my knowledge and insights with you today. So yeah, let's get started. So quick question, what is Intune Remediations? Or better yet, who here, general show of hands, who here has used Intune Remediations before? And with that, I can kind of see people in the crowd. So look, for those that haven't, Intune Remediations is a function that helps organizations identify and resolve issues proactively before they become a security threat or compliance risk to your endpoints. By creating custom scripts, it's possible to enforce organizational standards, address potential issues before they cause harm, and proactively monitor your environment. Remediations is fully integrated with Intune, which means that it's a capability that everybody has the ability to take advantage of, as well as all the already known benefits of Intune. For those that don't know, would include management capabilities, compliance reporting, and device configuration. So this integration in itself allows you to ensure that all of your devices are always up to date and in compliance with your organization's standards. Remediations provides a wide range of capabilities through these script packages that also can be used for reporting purposes or just generally the remediation purposes they are designed to complete. So this gives you the flexibility to, I guess, choose the right solution for your organization and allows you to tailor the Intune remediation specifically to your needs. So this afternoon, I plan to cover off the following, I guess, agenda. Would be what is Intune Remediations, as just discussed. What would be the benefits to your organization to using Intune Remediations? Then I'll break down what is a remediation script package. I'll provide some general examples that I've chucked together as to some of the capabilities associated. I'll then go through the steps as to how this is created and how easy it really is to get through. I also will chuck up some community contributions. There's some fairly large GitHub repositories, which I'd say might even inspire you to get deploying for yourself. Before I'll wrap it up and ask questions across the board. I will interval ask for if anybody has any questions. And just because I am remote at the moment, I would appreciate if someone just keeps an eye on the general, pop your hand up and hopefully somebody can let me know. So with that, the general question is, who here has worked in service desk and help desk before?
Most people.
Right. Yeah, most people. Look, it was a trick question, and because most people have worked in it. And I think the follow-up question would be, what would you say are the most common tasks that you've had to do these roles?
Open question. Common tasks. This
Broken OneDrive sync.
so password reset,
Yeah.
OneDrive sync. Any others?
Printers.
Printers.
Yeah,
Software install.
just want to make across the board, lots of different bits and pieces. Look, I guess the idea behind it is during my time working in service desk, I gained firsthand experiences to the ins and outs of managing and monitoring endpoints, even at scale. I understand the stress and challenges that came across with ensuring all of those devices function correctly, maintained security protocols on those devices. And not only that, just providing timely support to end users. The role also told me, the importance of effective process, clear communication, and the ability just to stay calm when someone else is, not so happy on the other end of the phone. But those experiences, I guess, equipped me with the skills and insights needed to tackle some of the complex tasks in IT and deliver reliable solutions. So considering it has been a while since I've been in help desk or service desk, depending on what you call it in your organization, I still have that heavy focus on delivering solutions to happy customers. And I just wanted to almost put my knowledge and experience together and utilize an available Microsoft toolset to further streamline process, enhance security and improvements overall within endpoint management. And that's essentially when I stumbled across Intune Remediations. So what are the benefits of Intune Remediations? Pretty generic, but it's the only way I can segue into giving the lowdown as to its capabilities. So genuinely, first off, it is the customization of it. So the idea of the custom packages is that Microsoft essentially allows you to create and deploy scripts to detect and fix issues on endpoints. So these packages include a detection script and a remediation script. This is a massive benefit for anybody wanting to standardize management within Microsoft Intunes and perform actions on an endpoint without a dedicated RMM tool. So obviously I'm aware that Intune Suite brings in a lot of these different capabilities in itself, but if you don't have Intune Suite, this gives you quite a big, foot up to be able to manage more of your endpoints without some of that. There is also the built-in scripts that are Microsoft provided at this stage, and they are designed to address some of the common support issues. So for example, I believe there is an update stale group policies package, and there's also the restart the Office click to run service, which that always occurs when there's an Office app failing to start. It's sometimes the service, but once again, they're ready to go, just to give you a bit of an opening to it. Another thing would be the reportability. So there is the reporting component, which can be crucial for monitoring the effectiveness of the remediation or detection scripts. So you can export script output, which runs in your environment, to analyze what has been ran or what information has been provided to ensure that you understand the impact of each of the actions that you've performed in these script packages. And so each of these script packages can be put together intricately to ensure that all the information you wish to gather is gathered and then provided to you within the Intune GUI. There is also the scheduling and on-demand component. So there is the flexibility, which allows you to run remediation scripts on once-off, so once-off specific times, but it also gives you the ability to run it at specific intervals of the day or of the week or every couple of hours. So this ensures that, there's a prompt issue resolution without disrupting your end user activities because it runs remotely. You can run these packages once again on demand, so crafting scripts for those urgent out of the blue issues that could arise. But you could also then scope these specifically to ensure that your devices run at a maintained smooth operation across the board every couple of hours if you wish. So in saying that, there's also the ease of use. So as mentioned, the massive benefit is that this is all available within the Intune Admin Center, which provides that easy to use interface, managing all of your remediation tasks alongside all of the existing device configuration, device compliance, and management for your endpoints. So it makes it that central go-to for all of your endpoint needs, really. And then last of all, it's that PowerShell capability. So these scripts are designed using PowerShell. So essentially the detection script and remediation script is a PowerShell script. And so anything that you have the ability to do via PowerShell, you now have the ability to do via remediations. So by setting up these custom scripts, you can automate complex tasks. You can enhance device security and compliance by getting into the nitty-gritty, intricate details of the Windows environment. And you can also report on a wide range of details within the Windows operating system, which you can't necessarily do with some of the conventional RMM tools. So I guess this all sounds good and well, but doesn't really get into the nitty gritty of what is this script package I keep talking about. And so segue into let's dismantle a script package. So one of the quick questions I'd ask quickly is, who here would say they're proficient in PowerShell?
Proficient in PowerShell? It's a reluctant one.
Yeah. No, honestly, I don't rate my PowerShell ability in the slightest. I literally could name more than a handful of people that would just run rings around me when it comes to PowerShell. I'm just an excellent Googler when it comes to being able to put PowerShell scripts together, effectively. Or I'm just really good at using AI to build those scripts for me. But I think the idea is that you don't need to be that person that has the elite PowerShell skills. You just need to know the basics and I guess be prepared to Google what you don't know to be able to get started. So don't think that, it's PowerShell, I'm never going to be able to do this, because genuinely I can't PowerShell to save me life some days, but I know the basics. So with that, the properties of a script package are quite simple. You have two PowerShell scripts. There is the detection script, which is simply a PowerShell script with the purpose of detecting a property. So is this is this service running or is it stopped? Is this registry in place? Does this file exist? Is this configured? What version is this application? Anything that you can essentially gather through PowerShell and expect an output of a specific, format, that can be the properties of the detection script. On the other hand, you've got the remediation script. So that is essentially the resolution to your detected problem. So that would be the then in an if-then query. So if that file exists, delete the file. Or if that registry file exists, change it. Or if that service has stopped, start it again. Just some simple bits and pieces to get you through. There are two conditions of that detection script, one being the exit 0. So in Intune, what it's looking for is that exit 0 property to come back. So in the detection script, if exit 0 is responded, it gives it a big tick. It says, no need to run the remediation script. We're all good here. Everything is working as per expected. The alternative is the exit 1 command or property that comes out. That is there is a problem here. This is straight away from your SOE. This is not what we want. And exit 1 will prompt for the remediation script to run. Then finally, there is the write output function. So the write output function gives you the ability to capture information based on what you are trying to gather in that script and provide information back to Intune for that. So that tied into the use of exit 0 and exit 1 can be used to report on device states, detailing the output of the information that you are attempting to gather, or even just provide you the context of, the device is compliant or the device is not compliant to organization standards. Before I go any further, does anybody have any questions just on this? No?
Is it exit one or just any non-zero exit?
What was that, sorry?
Is it explicitly exit 1 for non-compliant or any non-zero exit?
So it is exit 1. It's looking specifically for exit 1 to be. So let's say you were to have a exit 0 be your compliancy. You can essentially suggest that everything that is not exit 0 would be exit 1. So if property equals true, then exit 0. Anything else, exit 1. So I think the idea is that you would, depending on how you write the PowerShell script, you could have if service has started or it is enabled or running, exit 0. If anything else, exit 1. Or if stopped, exit 1. It truly depends on how you put that PowerShell script together. I will go into some examples as to how that works, just to show people how easy it is in terms of putting these together. But sorry, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any others?
Yeah, actually, can you determine the remediation script that gets run based on the exit code?
That's a really good question. So the script output, you can reconfirm the configuration. So your check or your detection script can trigger and suggest that there is a problem. This is not the desired state. Your remediation script can redo that check where it will recheck that property and apply the remediation associated to the output. It doesn't necessarily need to, I would almost suggest that be the approach, would be reconfirming the values only for the sheer chance you run a script and it fixes itself in the 30 seconds before the remediation script occurs. Just ensuring that it is timely. I guess just in time would be a buzzword, that it occurs when it needs to occur in that remediation script, if you needed that kind of intricate detail to it. All good? Great. I'll kick on. So as I said, some of the examples that might come into mind as to things you could potentially do in your environment. These might inspire some thoughts and ideas as to some of the capabilities which you can have surrounding Intune remediations. So before I begin, firstly, it should be advised that you should configure these as policies within Intune. These are not replacements for configuration profiles or compliance policies. If anything, they should be used to complement profiles and policies to ensure that your endpoints are compliant and configured to your standards at all times. Intune remediation should be used to, I guess, identify if there is code drift or configuration drift on your endpoints. This can be used to identify potential elevated permissions or general misconfiguration on your environment. So, the old, I need global admin, or not global, I need local admin of my device endpoint, and they go and change a bunch of configuration that you have no ability to confirm or see. And not only that, with, I guess, not necessarily the limitations, but with the update refresh on policies for any device that's essentially not a latest Windows 11, most of your policies don't reapply for some period of time, where this obviously you can schedule to be once an hour. So a more frequent double check of your environment is what is achievable within this. But once again, these are not a replacement for policies and profiles. They should just be used to complement and provide guidance where something may not be configured successfully, and also then the ability to remediate on top of that. We all good?
Keep going. Yep, all good.
Easy. No, all good. So look, first of all, once again, set it up as profile, but check if BitLocker is working. So the idea of that would be that you'd use a property to see if C drive has BitLocker. What would then happen is you'd go at your if else command, where if BitLocker protection status is seen to be not on. So to that point, Adam, you mentioned if it's anything but on, then the device is not enabled for BitLocker, and prompt that exit 1. That then shows, we need to go to the remediation script, where else would be your BitLocker is all good to go, and your exit 0. Intune gets the big thumb, green tick, good to go. Once again, that remediation script can be as simple as enable BitLocker. So that exit 1 says BitLocker's not done its job. You can then prompt for your C drive to be encrypted using a specific method, so on and so forth, with that right output, once again, providing you details as to how that's gone. Once that's ran, BitLocker has been enabled on the system. What that would then do is if you were to rerun that every day, the following you would like to think it would be marked as the protection status is on, and everything would be all good to go. Another example would be firewall. So you could use the get net firewall profile and check for your domain public private. And once again, if the profile is equal to false for if it's enabled or not, then you could suggest that the firewall profile for any specific name, whether it be your domain, your public, your private, isn't on, and prompt that exit 1. Or alternatively, prompt that everything is all good and your firewall is all online and connected and doing what it's meant to do, and prompt that exit 0. Once again, easily setting the net firewall to be true and then providing that script through. So that's, I guess, some general ideas as to the device compliance components of those scripts. Once again, it can be just what your environment wishes to be that compliance state. It doesn't necessarily have to be technical control. It could be certain files in place or certain registry files or certain configuration to your Windows operating system, which don't necessarily align to a setting in a compliance policy. It's worth noting this does not affect the compliance policy associated to conditional access. This is purely, for lack of a better term, just a compliancy of your organizational standard, not for any other. Device configuration. So a plain and simple one that I, put my old service desk hat on would be mapping network drives. This could be used just to, you can use the get PS drive and the new PS drive to remap some certain drives, depending on if, for example, that home directory for a user, when they call up and they say that they've lost all of their data, but it's just that the logon script pushed through group policy never mapped their drive in the morning, or they had a USB plugged in and it didn't map properly. So the idea of that is that you could have it consistently checked on a schedule or on those one-off occasions where if a specific drive didn't get mapped, just remap it. And all of a sudden that physical requirement to log into a device or have them log out, log in can just be a script that gets pushed through only when they need it. You can also install corporate certificates. So the idea would be you can use the child item where it goes and looks for a specific certificate with a specific subject name. Once again, I'm not very creative, so I called it corporate cert, where if cert has been found, then the certificate's installed. The alternative, obviously, is that it wouldn't be found, and you would import the certificate from some sort of local repository and just confirm that that output is. So that's great for internal systems or accessing resources over HTTPS or VPNs that require a certificate for authentication. So the automation of this not only saves time, but it helps maintain compliancy within your security environment. So some of the miscellaneous stuff that I've always thought was pretty handy is Defender AV. So once again, set it up in a policy, but the ability to get into the nitty-gritty of some of the applications that are on your environment or in your environment, and even some of the settings within it. So for example, I've got the MP computer status, and it's double checking that real-time protection is enabled, where if it is, the right output is that the device is compliant, where the alternative is not compliant, and then using that set MP preference, you'd obviously be able to swap that back to be compliant to your standards, and once again, real-time protection would be enabled. The alternative I quite like would be, the ability to create custom toast notifications. So you could almost create notifications in your environment for general reminders that, a patch, you've just had endpoint patching and you probably need to restart your device. You could also have reminders of security policies, such as, or even just advisory level information, such as, be vigilant that you don't, click a dodgy email and double check the to have sent to emails, and, or even just, well-being checks of, stand up, go and stretch, go and get some water. You can be really creative with it. A previous talk I had, people really stuck onto this custom toast notifications, probably more so than I expected, with the ability to almost create variables associated to that. This is a notification, this is a title, where you could produce information, whether it be the uptime of your device, and then tie it in to be a customer notification where if the uptime of the device was 14 days, provide a toast notification to say your device has been up for variable of days, you should restart it to maintain performance. Obviously, I didn't think that far into its capabilities when I put this together. This was a bit of a gag on the side as to some of the wacky creative ways that you could use this. But from that, I actually thought it was a very good input from the ability to be able to have that detection script almost just be a forced output, or even just having this as the detect, where the variable or values provided would be an output, which could provide a toast notification. And then last of all would be the reporting capabilities. So you could, once again, the certificate check, you can also then have it report any specific certificates that are potentially expiring in your environment. And that tacked on with a bit of an export CSV would be able to provide you a list of certificates that are going to expire. So that gives you that proactive management approach to identify certificates nearing expiry to prevent service disruption. Or you could even automate the installation of those specific certificates to ensure that they are always up and running. You could monitor disk space. So once again, if you don't have that RMM tool, it's a small company, they can't afford the RMM tool, but they can afford, Intune and the licensing. You could monitor disk space where you can have it report statistics every day, every couple of hours, and provide you that gradual flow of information for your endpoints. So this allows you to, I guess, be proactive and plan future storage requirements for your endpoints, identify local low disk space on devices, and essentially just take action before it impacts your the performance and the end users, essentially prompting for that help desk call. Once again, to trigger that toast notification discussion was the pending reboot. So essentially you could just use the item property and go and look for a specific registry file, which would suggest whether or not the pending reboot is ready to go on your device, where if the device is pending a reboot, write the output to be, reboot is pending. If not, no reboot pending, and then exit 0. And then the alternative or another option would be being able to just extract event log errors. So obviously this script here looks for the most recent 100 event errors, allows you to grab a bunch of objects within that error, be it time generated, the event ID, etc., export it into CSV, and then provide an output to say, the errors have gone to the following path. Obviously, these are very generic, but the idea is that you do have the ability to report on information. So I promised myself I put a cat in here, but the possibilities are genuinely endless, except for the old limitations associated. So once again, those capabilities of remediations is that proactivity, reactivity capabilities associated with the scripts. So scheduled remediations can be set every X number of hours or days, or that once-off run. So that's extremely convenient and easy to ensure that your endpoints are tested regularly with your script package requirements. So the other side of the fence, obviously, is that you can run them on demand. So that allows you to put together packages for those once-off, common, but yet not too common, but common enough issues that come through help desks that you don't necessarily want to have to remote onto a device to be able to remediate against. So some of those general proactive script ideas would be configuration checks. So as shown before, you can confirm that your environment's profiles and policies are in place and always configured in your environment, ensuring that nobody strays away from that, or that some devices aren't specifically, drifting from that desired configuration. Then you can even create your own custom compliance requirements. So that's the ability to enforce when a detected setting has strayed from your SOE, allowing you to almost enforce a second level of compliance across your devices. So the third would be, third-party application or dependent services or users and computers configuration, ensuring that services are checked and running. You could set up a script to occur hourly before a scheduled Windows update to set to reboot or notify staff. Or you could just use it to report on metrics, as I mentioned, such as disk space. So replacing almost that requirement from RMM tool if you're humming and hawing and you want to try and reside more within the Intune space. The other alternative is that on demand. So as mentioned, there's the old print spooler services stuck in the user can't print, and you'd be able to tie these in together where you'd stop a service, delete the contents of a specific folder, restart the service, all with the ability to do that remotely without user intervention required. So the old let me on your computer, chuck me the code, finding a time to do it conveniently with them. The ability to just run that on demand essentially allows you to streamline that process of assisting an end user. So I guess the alternative to that would be the ability to commence AV scans. Once again, you can do this via policy, but you could have it run an AV scan at a midday, where if the output did detect malicious on the quick scan, you could have it prompt a full scan as a part of the remediation. So, what could sometimes or somewhat be painful, you could almost automate to be less painful, where you'd be able to check through the right output that, yes, there was something malicious located on this device, and that remediation script would prompt a full scan, for example. So you wouldn't have to lift a finger. You could do it either on demand. You could also automate it. It really is up to you as to how you want to curate that for your environment. Any questions just before I continue? I am aware of the time approaching the dreaded 5 o'clock. No? Brilliant.
Okay.
Reporting. So yeah, once you've run that script on your endpoint, and you got the detection and the remediation across all of your environments, and you want to see what that output really is, that's where the reporting capability comes in. So that reporting is fairly straightforward. So once again, devices and then remediation script packages. So whatever package you're looking at, you'd go to the monitor device status section. So what you need to do is change the filter to include that pre-remediation detection output and post-remediation detection output. I do believe by default they are hidden, so please change that to be not the default, because you're essentially limiting the capability straight away. Once again, it remembers your output though, so it is user-based, but once again, the pre-remediation output is the detection script, and that post-remediation output is your remediation script. So you can use it to review specific findings within the remediation script by clicking that review hyperlink at the end there, which will then display the output for that instance specifically running. So it makes makes it a lot easier to pinpoint the specifics within your investigation. So that limitation, it always comes around quick enough. That limitation is that you can only provide back to Intune a maximum allowed output of 2048 characters. So that in itself can be a bit problematic if you did wish to output a lot of tables or large sets of data, but it genuinely isn't the end of the world. As I provided in the remediation, also reporting script examples, is you have the full ability to, the one of the most easiest workarounds for that would be to export all the data into a CSV. So, if you're looking at large scales of data through multiple different endpoints, provide them all as a CSV output. That would then allow you to export all of that information into, for example, Excel graphs to provide a lot larger, benefit and a range of information, such as, using Winget to find all of the applications installed on your environment and the different versions of those those applications, and pinpoint where those, weak points are, any vulnerable applications on You could even get a bit specky and push the CSV to a network location, or even, to SharePoint. I believe there's a SP site PowerShell command where you can push them into SharePoint if you wish to do so. So how to get started? It really is quite simple. The idea is you would start by either downloading a pre-made package or creating your own package. So once again, it's that PowerShell script for detection, and then the not mandatory but required or optional remediation PowerShell script. So as I said, a detection script can just be a report, but you can also then tack on if a write one command occurs, that remediation script. So you would need to obviously access the Intune portal. So if you're running PIMs in your environment, thank you. But also you would just need Intune Administrator to access this environment, this area. So then you'd go through to devices, and then that's scripts and remediations. Up the top, you click the old create a script package. You would enter those script package name and the description. There is version control on this, just for reference. So if you did want to stagger the versions of this, you certainly can. You would then upload the detection and the remediation script files. And then there's 3 properties below where those allow you to fine tune those script packages a bit better as well. So those properties, as mentioned, it genuinely is just the 3. First of all is that run this script using a logged in credentials. That in itself allows you to interact with the user's specific data and settings for that user account. So it won't run as that local system, it'll run with the user's context. So if you do have, permission related, limitations on each of the users, that's where you might start to have some problems. But if you did have specific user configuration you wanted to modify or review or check, obviously that would be the property you'd swap over to yes. Then there's the signature check. So that's the, if you're running that only your trusted publishers are allowed to execute within your environment, you've adhered to most of the ASR and across the board, that allows you to enforce that the script signature check is enforced, just ensuring that your endpoints continue to run at that trusted execution level. And then obviously there's the run script in 64-bit. Now, I lack even thinking that this is still a problem in some environments, but lo and behold, I'm sure it will be. But that essentially just allows you to leverage the full 64-bit environment for your PowerShell, better performance, more compatible with applications and your system. Essentially just across the board. By default, that should be on, but if you don't, that's no worries as well. But yeah, that ensures that the scripts are future-proof as well, and capable of handling the demands of the modern IT environment. So once you get past those 3 properties, you come to the assignment screen. So no different to any Intune policy or profile or compliance is where are you going to assign it? Once again, you can assign it to all users or security group. In the example, I've got Intune endpoint sec because it's what I had at the time. And the idea is once you select a security group, you can set a schedule specifically for that security group. So once again, the reoccurrence options you have is that once off, an hourly or a daily. So each of those settings, bar the once obviously, allows you to also put in an increment. So it could be hourly every increment, so every 4 hours, or daily every 4 days. So that allows you to be a bit more detailed with the configuration. It also allows you to put a time as to when it suggests that should start. So for example, if you wanted to run something at 8 a.m., that would then appear 8 a.m. on the local device. So a bonus of this is that if the Intune script attempts to run on a device that can't be reached, it will reattempt to run that script once the device comes back online. It will only run once, but the idea is that it will double check and run itself once that device is resynchronized. So if the device is offline for 2 weeks and it knows that 4 scheduled scripts is up and coming, it will wait for that synchronized, then run those remediation scripts when they do come back online. The alternative to schedule is that on demand. Once again, you've got your devices and your Windows endpoints. So you would go and find and select your Windows endpoint that you want to. The ellipsis, I'm just going to forever call it the 3 dots, but the ellipsis at the end, there is the run remediation preview. So the idea of that is you've got something that runs on a schedule, but you want to run it on demand because you just can't wait. Or there is that once-off that you don't want to run every day, but it is for those once-off occasions that you need to run on a handful of devices. You can go into that run remediations. What that does is it brings up a screen and provides you a checkbox of what scripts are available to be ran. You can then select it. It'll preview what that detection and remediation script is for that package, and you just hit go. Once that essentially is commenced, the device actions section towards the bottom of your device page will state that it's, an Intune remediation is pending or complete to signal that the remediation has ran on the device. There is a slight delay in how long it takes to get that right output, but there really isn't that much of a delay. I also believe that the more characters and the more information you're trying to get out, the slower it is. But obviously, not everything can be super instant. And the requirements. So once again, it's that enterprise licensing. So your E3, E5, Windows 10 and 11 enterprise Windows. So essentially anybody running somewhat current licensing and desktop requirements. Your education for A3 and A5, as well as your virtual desktop environments would need the VDA per user associated to it. So secondly, the device needs to be the Entra joined or hybrid joined. Some of these may be fairly self-explanatory, but obviously I'm still going to suggest that they and then obviously the devices do need to be managed in Intune. They aren't just going to magically find these policies and be pushed to it. They do need to be managed in Intune and running that enterprise pro or education version of Windows 10 or later. Before I get into, I guess, the community contributions component of it, is there any questions before I start to slowly wrap it up? No? Brilliant. So, need some inspiration? Look, I have gone through and I've put together, I guess, what I believe is some of the community-based repositories that I personally recommend. The first of all is probably the largest repository, and it includes some, very Top Gun MVPs within the Microsoft space. So Janik Reinhardt, Andrew Taylor, Joey Verlinden. This by far is the most comprehensive repository that currently exists. By all means, it streams across the board with a lot of options and I guess different capabilities. So if you want a good starting point, this is a very large starting point to see some of the capabilities available. Another one would be Aaron Parker. So this includes a plethora of application and reporting based scripts. So if you want to know what you can do with regards to applications in your environment or some of the reporting capabilities within your environment, by all means, I'd be suggesting the Aaron Parker repository. And then honestly, a selfish plug would be my own, which I put together a small set in this, obviously, examples during the presentation, but I've split them out probably due to my, OCD of keeping things organized would be, everything related to compliancy to devices, to configuration of devices, performance, reporting, miscellaneous specific applications and whatnot. By all means, I hope that some of them inspire you to go and get started, even download some of the pre-made and just, get into it and see how you can change the way you manage your endpoints. So wrapping things up, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for coming in and both in person and remotely. We've explored the functions of Intune Remediations and how you can use it to ensure your endpoints are running securely and effectively, how easy it is to use some of these capabilities throughout your environment, and also its dynamic use of scheduled and both scheduled and on demand. And I hope this presentation has provided you with some, insights and practical knowledge that you can apply within your own environments. I will ask one more time if there is any questions before we wrap it up. But any other questions, Adam?
Last call for questions. I don't have access to the online chat. Don't know if you can see.
Nor do I. I don't think there is an online.
No questions. No questions on the online chat.
Thanks, Ben.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Pete.
Just a note to say that instead of using Google for looking at things, you can also use Bing or Copilot.
Even better. When I say Google, when I say Google, I've genuinely probably just used Copilot to help me with some of these. As I said, I'm not the best at PowerShell, but I do my best, and if I can't, I'll get someone else to help, or that Copilot. But look, if that's it, look, thank you everybody for your attention and participation. I appreciate all of your time, and I hope to speak with you all again in future.
A great presentation. Thank you, Anthony. Definitely things in there I didn't know about Intune that were possible. So I'm sure lots of people are going to take this back and come up with some ideas on how they can implement it. Great, thank you. And thanks for your time. Very much appreciated. Oh, awesome. That's right. Camera off. Fair enough too.
my bad. I just assumed nobody wanted a big mug shot of myself, but look, I can be above a big mug shot.
I can freeze the clip here.
Yeah, I was waiting for a clippy comment. We'll like clippy. Thank you.
Yeah, well, the Clippy background, if you go to Microsoft Teams, there is a background area, there's a nostalgia section. This had to be used. I don't think I'm ever going to use something that's not Clippy. There's an MS Paint one, there's a Solitaire one. I'm just going to have to revert back to the old school Copilot.
It's all right. Check that out. I'll be using that one too then. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again. So any further questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll get the recording and notes and links and everything was covered today and posted out as soon as they're ready. But we'll see you guys again the 5th of November, which is
Not Melbourne Cup Day, is it?
the day after Melbourne Cup, I believe.
So we to move.
Or is it day of? No, it's day of Melbourne Cup. See you then.
The TBC.
Yeah, we tried moving it and then they'll be left. We'll see where it lands, but before when there weren't so many user groups, we just go, we'll do it next week. But yeah, the Microsoft Office here is pretty busy, so we'll see what's available. But if it is, I guess.
Yeah, we'll make the most of it.
And yeah, we'll confirm the topic in the next week or so and get the details out, event published and all that as usual. Again, thanks for coming and thanks Ant for being our guest speaker. And please come and grab things. Absolve me of the responsibility.
When I'm in Adelaide next, I'll grab it off of you, Andrew.
I've got some specially for you, Ant. So I'll see
Mate,
you.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Stop the recording there.
Okay.
Recording.